I have had many people in my DM and some under my comment section asking about normal processing times. Anytime I've had to mention processing times in any video, no matter the context, I have people asking me about it, even though I've explained it previously. So this time I'm going to make a demonstration video so that you will be able to check your own normal processing times and won't have to ask about it every single time. So when it comes to normal processing times, there is no one particular period for everybody. It depends on factors like which country you are applying from and which visa type you are applying for. So in this case, where it starts from will always be Google, the almighty Google. All you need to do is just search and you will get your answer. So then you come to your Google and you start typing normal processing times Canada. Since I have already searched for this before, it just pops up in my search history. So I click on it. But then you can just type normal processing times Canada as I had done. And then right here, it pops up as the first result for me. This may not be your situation, especially if you are applying from outside Canada. Because I am from within Canada, most of the things I search for happens with the first result. But if yours isn't the first, just make sure you are searching for the answer from the canada.ca website, none other. I've had reports of many people applying or checking stars from other websites, probably immigration consultants' websites, and getting charged for things they are not normally supposed to pay for, if only they have searched from the official Canada website. So if you go down here, you see many other websites. This is also canada.ca, so there's also their official website. But all of these, none of them is the official website. So now let's just move on to the main reason I am here. So we click on check processing times and it takes us to the official IRCC website where they now get to ask us the questions required to be able to generate our answer. So select an application type. We click here and they give us a temporary residence. Temporary residence, any visa type that is going to mean you have to stay here temporarily. You've not really moved in permanently. So this includes visiting visa, study permit, temporary workers visa, and all of that. There are many other applications. You could be applying for your Canadian passport, as I've done before, and my citizenship, permanent resident cards, even for refugees, family sponsorship, and all of that. They all have processing times. So whichever it is that you're checking for, that is what you click here. But since most of the people under my comment section asking me about these things are all falls within the temporary residence, I'll go for that temporary residence. Then they ask which temporary residence application are you applying for? So temporary residence could be a visitor visa, it could be super visa, it could be a study permit. There are a lot of them, and it also matters whether you are applying from outside Canada or from within Canada. So it could also be for a visitor extension. Maybe you're a visitor here and you want to extend it. You do not get another visa because you already have a visa in your passport when you apply the first time, which is probably a multiple entry visa. So when you apply for an extension, you get what we call a visitor record, which is just a very nice letter sent to you to tell you that, hey, your extension have been granted and now you can stay till this particular date. So since we are going with a visitor visa from outside Canada, I will click on that. And where are you applying from? Since I'm Ghanaian, I'll just choose Ghana. I like to use Ghana as my example. But you can choose whichever country you're applying from. So Ghana here. And get processing times. That is 203 days. So if you are applying for a visitor visa from within Ghana, normal processing times is 203 days. And this was last updated on July 30, 2024. That's like about 2 days ago. And they update these processing times weekly. So how we calculated this processing time? One thing you have to understand is processing time is calculated based on how long it took them, that's IRCC, to process most complete applications in the past. A complete application is the one in which they never had to go back and forth with the person. They never had to request for more documents, more information, or whatever. The person submitted everything they required, so everything was smooth, and that is what they use. They base the normal processing times on. You also have to read here which says it does not include the time it takes to send an application between a visa application center and our office. Neither does it include the time you need to give your biometrics. So normally when you submit your visa application, within like 3 days to 1 week, you get a biometric instructions letter to go and submit your biometrics. Depending on your location, it may take longer. Like I know from Ghana these days, it takes more than a month for you to get a date to submit your biometrics. So that time you are waiting to give your biometrics, they are also waiting on you. And as a result, they do not calculate that period in the normal processing time. So whether it takes you 1 week, 1 month, 2 months to give your biometrics, they do not add that to normal processing times. The moment you go and give your biometrics and then they receive it, that is when they start calculating. Also, if you go and give your, let's say, do your medicals, the time you waited from the time they asked you to do it and the time you did it for them to receive it is also not counted, because as I explained earlier, they are waiting on you. So whenever you are done, that is when they resume the application. And also sometimes when they ask you to submit your passport, it may take a long while for you to send it to the visa application center, and the visa application center will also send it to the embassy or consulate. When they're also done, they send it back to the visa application center and then they get it to you. Sometimes that can take a while, like a month or even more. They do not calculate all of these in the normal processing times because those were times they were waiting on you. So it doesn't necessarily mean they delayed and they weren't processing your application in those periods. They were just waiting. Your application was on hold. Now, since I have calculated for a visitor visa from Ghana, let's say I am also applying for a visitor visa from Nigeria. This just to give you some context here. So let's say I'm applying from Nigeria. Yes. So get processing times. That's 182 days. That's a much shorter period from. So you see, when I was applying for a visitor visa from Ghana, it was a longer period, like 200, and I've even forgotten, like have a lot of things going through my mind right now. But then when I chose Nigeria, that's just 182 days. So just your country can determine how long the normal processing time can be. Now that I've provided this, let's go with a study permit. So let's say I am applying for a study permit from Ghana. So that is a study permit from outside Canada. And then I choose Ghana here. Go down to Ghana. Get processing time. That is 8 weeks. That means currently, if you are applying for a visitor, a study permit from within Ghana, it will take approximately 8 weeks for it to be processed. 8 weeks, and same conditions as I explained before applies here too. So let's say I am applying from Nigeria for a study permit. As you can see, that takes 5 weeks, also shorter than the 8 weeks it takes from when you are applying from Ghana. So now, as you may understand, it depends on the type of visa you're applying for and the country. So you can just follow the same method to check your normal processing times, and then you get to know whether to contact IRCC or not. And normally, you will find instructions on how to contact IRCC on your biometrics instructions letter. I hope I've made myself clear here. Have a nice day.